True. Let's go to Karma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. Chill drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.
Well, today I want to do a follow-up to a previous video that we dropped refuting the idea that there is a mass Christian genocide in Nigeria. The problem is truly ethnic. You have Fulani herdsmen who want to take control of more lands for grazing. And a similar issue is occurring with the radicalization of various Fulanis in the Sahelian zone. Some of the same individuals, the Sahelian states are dealing with similar problems, particularly Burkina Faso, with these radicalized Fulani elements. Now, many have looked at the fact that Iran, Venezuela, and Nigeria, all nations that Donald Trump has threatened, all happen to have prominent oil industries. And recently, within Nigeria, you have an expansion of the refining capabilities, right? Now, the Dangote refinery is aiming to be the world's biggest, and this is a giant step in terms of African development. Within the next 3 years, its founder and Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, has presented, right? He wants his refinery to be the largest oil refinery in Africa. So it's more than doubling its production capacity to 1.4 million from 650,000 barrels a day, right? It's going to surpass India's Jamnagar refinery with this step. Now, it has faced some challenges, with the regulatory agencies, but Dangote has been taking steps to remove corruption within Nigeria. Now, with respect to Dangote, many of the brothers and sisters from Africa Stream have speaking about how, from a historical materialist perspective, if we were to take the Marxian approach, the development of capital industries in Africa is actually a positive step towards liberation. Now, many who more so would take the Nkrumah Tureya's path and want more of a socialized development format, much of which you have probably seen in many of the socialist states. Mengistu comes to mind, Siad Barre comes to mind, Modibo Keita comes to mind, Sylvanus Olympio comes to mind, et cetera, et cetera. This is a positive step in terms of building the industrial capacity on the African continent and taking steps to owning more of production, with respect to the global economy. Because if there's going to be a type of renaissance, economic renaissance, to lift the impoverished, on the African continent to a higher standard of living, there has to be an increase of industrial capacity on the ground. And Dangote's refinery is taking advantage of that. Now, this hasn't been without its issues. Obviously, there has been some strikes, right? So recent moves by the Dangote refinery to bring its own natural gas-powered trucks to distribute petrol in the country in September sparked a strike by a fuel tanker drivers union, which accused the company of hiring new drivers on the condition that they didn't join the union. And the refinery denied the allegations, right? And the refinery suffered a 2-day strike that ended October 1st after government mediation. The Pengassan Oil and Gas Workers Union accused the refinery of firing 800 local workers because they unionized and replacing them with 2,000 workers from India. And this is a common practice within many companies in Nigeria. A lot of them will try to hire workers from India that they could get for cheaper, especially in the sense of against union workers in Nigeria, right? So, the refinery has denied these allegations and they suspect there's some type of sabotage. And Dangote has used, the Pan-African framing in the sense of defending himself from the allegations of monopoly, right? And he spoke about his unwillingness to get into the cement marketing and the concrete industry, cement and concrete industry, because of many of the allegations of, monopolies and people claiming that he's trying to control the entire Nigerian economy and maybe the African economy. And we shouldn't necessarily be surprised, as a capitalist for-profit company, group of companies, Dangote is definitely seeking the profit motive, and he's trying to service, the people who are invested into him. This is an obvious action and process within the modern global economy. But on the same role, the mediation from the government and the work of workers who want to organize for better social and living conditions is all part of the process. So this is a part of the game, the tug and pull. Now, in a Garveyite sense, all of these different entities would be in one accord, in one paramilitary union, right? That would be the Garveyite approach. But again, as we can see with the growth of Nigeria, the growth of geopolitical power, there is a tendency of the West to want to invade, to keep that in control, and to sabotage the growth that, many of those on the African continent are aspiring to gain and they're aspiring towards, right? So when we understand what's going on and we understand the different politics and then the role that oil plays, the role that the petrodollar plays and the military might of the United States plays, it is very, very obvious that, the idea of a Christian genocide is basically being used by the imperialists and the Zionists to justify, an invasion of Nigeria and make sure that too much energy independence is not developed on the African continent. Because look, once Africans use oil to industrialize and develop the economy, then they won't necessarily need to use the Western states for the ability to build value-added products. They'll be able to build value-added products locally, higher value chain products locally, and be able to have more economic independence and geopolitical security because of that. So everything from the illegal smuggling and organized crime industry, human trafficking, all of these things would be abandoned or would be put under control with respect to an industrialization policy, especially an industrialization policy that prioritizes African narratives, prioritizes African scientific principles, African values of society, and is not purely Western based. So, many of the environmentalists out there would probably have some disdain with respect to the growth of, the Nigerian oil industry and energy independence. But ultimately, this is one of many steps that needs to be taken for an independent power in Africa. When we say black power, this is solar, this is oil, this is nuclear. This is all versions of power that we could use to bolster and enhance our society, right? We shouldn't put limits on that. So we can't listen to all of the fraudulent environmentalists who want to try to put limits on the African power potential. We should just use our natural resources to our advantage, develop innovative means of engineering success, and that would be the way and the route forward. So this is clear. We should stand against, the United States and their attempts to invade Nigeria, right? Another angle of this is the idea in Cameroon, the fact that, this invasion has a lot to do with keeping the Cameroonian situation under control. We're going to talk about that more in the future video. That's all I got for y'all on this. Hope to get you on the next one. Peace.
Let's go to Karma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. Shimpe drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.